What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Season 10, The Tell-All Part 2. So Part 2 starts off where Part 1 ended, which is when Jasmine stormed off the stage after watching the clips of Gino's bachelor party. So she stormed off the stage. Now she's backstage somewhere and she's hyperventilating. She's crying. Nikki's back there with her, trying to comfort her. Gino says that 95% of the time he was sitting at a table with his family. Now, Gino, when you say stuff like this, you come off to me as a liar because we know what you were there for. Your cousins, your bro cousins convinced you to have a bachelor party at a strip club. You knew that if Jasmine found out that she was going to lose her mind. I don't know if there was an entire 90 Day Fiance camera crew there. I don't know if it was a family member or a friend who was recording the events. I don't know exactly what was going on, but you knew that once Jasmine found out that she was going to have your head on a platter. You went ahead with it, maybe because your bro cousins were like, you can't let a woman dictate to you what you can and cannot do. And this is what we do in America. This is tradition. And, don't be a wimp. So he went ahead and he did the whole bachelor party, knowing that he was going to suffer the consequences later. Fine. So the fact that he keeps on talking about how, most of the time I was just there sitting at a table with my family. Stop making it look like you were there with your whole entire family, with Grandma Gertrude and Grandpa Silas, just sitting in some corner at the strip club having tea and crumpets. It wasn't like that. Your bro cousins do not want to sit at a table looking at your face when they're in a strip club. They want to be where the action is. And I take it you wanted to be where the action was as well. You claim 95% of the time that you really weren't around the women, but it didn't take the cameraman that much work to capture footage of you being around the women. If the majority of the time you were far and away from them, being all innocent, at some back table, the camera didn't have to work that hard to catch the footage that it caught of you. Now, I'm not faulting Gino for having a good time at the strip club, and I didn't think there was anything wrong with what we saw. This is the stuff that happens at a bachelor party, at a strip club. He didn't do anything wrong. He was having a good time. It was his bachelor party. He didn't cross the line. He didn't do anything that I felt like was extremely inappropriate, right? He was being a typical groom at his bachelor party, doing what grooms and their groomsmen do. Nothing wrong with that. The issue is that, Gino, your woman had a very unreasonable reaction to this because she's insanely jealous. And this jealousy is caused by her insecurities and her low self-esteem. So that's the problem. So the fact that he doesn't want to apologize to Jasmine for what she saw, of what went on at the strip club, I don't blame him for not wanting to apologize. Like I said, he didn't do anything wrong. Most brides would just tell their groom, hey, I know you're going to a bachelor party. I know there's going to be strippers there. Just don't do anything to embarrass yourself for me. Don't do anything inappropriate. Don't cross the line. I think most brides would have that type of a reaction. No bride would act like the way Jasmine acted, like completely losing their mind, hyperventilating, crying, screaming, running around. No bride would actually act like that because we all understand what goes on and what it is when it comes to a bachelor party. Just don't do anything inappropriate. Don't do anything embarrassing. Control your liquor as much as you can so that nothing inappropriate or embarrassing happens. Her reaction was just completely to the extreme. So for him trying to like downplay it and say, I just wanted to hang out with my family, at the strip club. Stop it, Gino. You wanted to have a good time, just like your cousins were there to have a good time. Your cousins did not pay for all of this for them to go sit at a table in a corner staring at your face the whole night. So, blah, blah, blah. So Jasmine is crying in Nikki's arms. She's saying that Gino doesn't love her. She's saying that Gino isn't attracted to her, doesn't want to have sex with her, doesn't look at her the way he was looking at the strippers. All of this, whatever she saw, I didn't see him looking at the strippers in any kind of way. He looked like a guy who was having a good time. I'm sorry, Jasmine, if you're saying that he doesn't look at you that way, maybe you should show him a good time. Maybe not in that way, but maybe you should be a little bit more pleasant around him. Stop throwing your ex-boyfriend constantly in his face and all the things that your ex-boyfriend did to you in the bedroom and how much better your ex-boyfriend was. And stop saying all that stuff. Maybe he would look at you like the way he was looking at those strippers. So then Sean brings Daisy the dancer back into the conversation. Now, we did see her last week, and she's saying the same thing she said last week. I don't know why we're talking to Daisy again. Her story hasn't changed. She's still downplaying Gino's behavior, saying that he was acting really awkward. He really wasn't like interested in the girls. Like I said, Daisy, I don't know if you know that we saw the footage and it looked like Gino was having a damn good time. He wasn't running away from the strippers. He wasn't like batting their hands away saying, don't touch me, get away from me. He got up on stage. He did exactly what they wanted him to do. It looked like he was having a good time and there was nothing wrong with that. So the fact that y'all are still trying to make it look like he was there for Bible study instead of watching naked women dance is just insane to me. Y'all make it look like something even more inappropriate happened that y'all are trying to cover up. So, Jasmine, okay, so when she was when Daisy was talking about how, he was so awkward around the girls and he acted like he really didn't want to be there. The problem with Jasmine really is that Gino was within a 10-mile radius of a strip club. The fact that he let one foot, one toe enter this facility is what's getting her like completely unhinged. The fact that he would even entertain a place like this, period. That's what's making Jasmine so unhinged, because she is so insecure with herself that when there's other women who are remotely attractive, she just becomes unglued. So we hear her yelling and screaming in the back like a banshee, just straining her vocal cords for absolutely no reason at all, sounding completely insane. Gino says to the people on stage, he tells them that his ex-girlfriend was a stripper. She worked at a strip club. And then everybody on stage was like, oh, now it makes sense. No, it doesn't make any sense. Whether his ex-girlfriend was a stripper or not, Jasmine's behavior does not make any sense. Her reaction to this is unreasonable. So the question is, Gino, are you even attracted to Jasmine? And Gino says, yes, her looks are not the issue. I am attracted to Jasmine. The things that she says is what bothers me. That's the problem that we have. And he's specifically referring to whenever she wants to throw her ex-boyfriend in his face and how much better her ex-boyfriend was, how much this, how much that her ex-boyfriend was over Gino. That's what really bothers him, because that kind of stuff can really stick to somebody's mind. Whenever you throw it in their face, it can make them feel all kinds of insecure, all kinds of whatever, when you're constantly reminding them that, oh, my ex was better than you in bed. My ex pleased me better. My ex, like, I don't know. Some people, y'all got to be real careful with what you say to your significant others, because when y'all start throwing this kind of stuff about exes and all of this, that stuff sticks and it stings. And I think they have every right to carry whatever they want to carry, all the anger, the resentment that they want to carry with them, because you just don't say stuff like that. You especially to your husband, because they're married now, and she still says things like that to him. So Jasmine comes back on stage. She apologizes to Sean for her crazy behavior. Sean asked Jasmine if she had any questions for Daisy. The only question that Jasmine had for Daisy was whether or not the lip gloss was hers, and Daisy said no. She said her interaction with Gino started and stopped in the strip club. It didn't go any further than that. Daisy tries to reassure Jasmine that Gino was not being inappropriate. Jasmine doesn't believe it, because just the fact that he was looking at them, that's inappropriate to Jasmine. She said that Jasmine says that when Gino acts the most awkward, this is when he's the most flirtatious, whatever the hell that means. So I guess what she's trying to let us know is, when we see him acting awkward, we're thinking, oh, he's not comfortable. And what she's saying is, when he's awkward, this is how he flirts. He's trying to flirt with the women. Maybe it's not coming off as smoothly, but he's awkward because he is trying to be flirtatious with them. I don't know. So Sean gives Jasmine a hug. This is the kind of stuff that Jasmine lives for. She loves when people start doting on her and coddling her and, trying to make her feel better. She just eats it up. Jasmine tells Gino that he crossed so they're like during a break. But the cameras are still rolling, but the cast is taking a break. She tells Gino that he crossed the line and that now it's over. Okay, Jasmine, blah, 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 blah. We've heard this a million times before from you. You always want to threaten him that it's over, that you're breaking up with him, blah, blah, blah. And then y'all are still together. So even So everybody's backstage, having lunch or whatever, and Gino tells the rest of the cast that this is how it is with Jasmine. It's a constant cycle. Her behavior, something will trigger her, she flies off the handle, then everything is copacetic again. Something triggers her, she flies off the handle, then everything is, back to normal again. So Ashley's advice to Gino and Jasmine is that they need to have more sex. Of course, the sexaholic Ashley is going to advise something like that because, according to Ashley, if the whole world just had more sex, we could solve all of the world's problems. We can incite world peace by just having more sex. So Jasmine comes out to join the rest of the group while they're still back there having their lunch, and she's standing up, commanding court, all the attention on her, all eyes on her. So she's standing there and she's holding her purse, her clutch. Then she opens up her clutch and she takes out this envelope, and then she opens up the envelope and she takes out this letter, this piece of paper, and she starts reading it. And it's typewritten, okay, whatever it is, it's very generic looking, just some words on a white piece of paper. And she starts reading it and her hands are shaking uncontrollably. I'm like, why is she shaking so much? So she announces to the group, first of all, she says to them, I just want y'all to know what's been going on in my household recently. And then she reads the letter, and the letter says, Gino and I had so much fun at the bachelor party. Sorry for the lip gloss. You can keep it, but it won't look good on you as it does on me. Here's my panties that he had took off that night. The rest you can keep for your imagination. So then she takes out this pair of panties, or she doesn't take them out. She shakes them out because she didn't want to touch them. So she shakes out the panties from this envelope and throws it on the ground. And Gino was just like, that's not true. That's not true. And Gino says that someone had left this package on their front porch. Gino says it must have been from some, deranged fan or some deranged hater. And I think the consensus of the group was that, yeah, this is just from some random person who watches the show and really, really hates Jasmine and wants to cause problems between Jasmine and Gino because they know that Jasmine is like teetering on the edge of insanity whenever it comes to Gino and other women. So I don't know why she's taking this seriously. To me, it was quite obvious that it's somebody just messing with her. And even Nikki tells her, girl, you're gonna have to be stronger than this. This man loves you. He's not trying, like I said before, nobody wants Gino. Nobody wants Gino. She has nothing to worry about. Number one, nobody wants Gino because it's not like, he is George Clooney or Denzel or Brad Pitt or anything like that. Plus, nobody wants Gino because they don't want to have to deal with Jasmine. So, Jasmine, I don't know what you see in Gino, but it's not that for us. Okay, it's not that for the rest of us. So even Nikki was like, girl, you're going to have to be stronger. If you're going to stick it through, you're going to have to be a whole lot stronger than this. So we end the Gino and Jasmine segment, and now we're moving into Nikki and Igor. So Sean asks Igor if they're still broken up. Igor says, I think we need more time to think about all the stuffs. Every single time a direct question was asked of Igor, he did not give a direct answer. I think he thinks that as long as he keeps his answers extremely ambiguous and gray, then he can still keep his leash on Nikki. I think in some way he doesn't want to let Nikki go, just like she doesn't want to let him go, because he still needs her. In my personal opinion, he still needs her for money. And Nikki doesn't have a problem buying his affection because there's something about Igor that just has Nikki completely flipped. She is so smitten by this guy, and I don't understand why. There must be stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know nothing about that's got her turned inside out, because the way that she's hanging on to him and not willing to let him go, I'm not understanding. I'm just not getting it, especially how disrespectful he is of her. So he says that they still have they need more time to think about the stuffs. Igor says that he felt free after Nikki left. And like I said, he will continue to disrespect her in public. I don't know what's going on in private, but in public, he disrespects her so much. I'm not understanding how she would want to have anything to do with this man. So then they ask Igor, why did you break up over text? And he said, well, if I would have done it in person or on FaceTime, or if I would have called her, it would have been a really big argument. And he was trying to avoid the confrontation. Ashley says something really insignificant. I don't even know what she said, but whatever she said, it really set Igor off. So he tells Ashley that he feels Nikki vibes from her. I guess, whenever a woman speaks up or raises her voice slightly, Igor takes this as masculine energy. And yeah, so he wants women to stay in their place and not speak until they're spoken to, and to always speak in a very soft and low voice, and not confront the men in their lives. I don't know what's going on with Igor, but he tells Ashley that he's getting Nikki vibes from her. And I just took that as, she was being assertive. She wasn't even being assertive. She just made a comment, a really insignificant comment. And for whatever reason, it really triggered Igor. Igor tells her to speak with more respect. Speaking of Ashley, he tells her to speak with more respect. Ashley asked him, why did he disrespect Nikki by telling her that he felt man vibes from her? Igor says, when I feel man vibes from her, I tell her. He didn't really give a direct answer. And I think what he calls man vibes, and I'm not trying to defend Igor in any way, but I think what he calls man vibes is like whenever she is, standing her ground, standing up for herself, demanding him to take accountability, demanding him to be more respectful. I think that's what he takes as man vibes. He just wants Nikki just to roll over, like I said, be very demure, very passive, very quiet. Don't disrespect me. Don't challenge me. Don't confront me. That's what he's expecting her to act. And when she doesn't do that, he wants to he wants to say, oh, man vibes. So when she went back to Moldova, Nikki said that it was romantic. She said that they made love. She kept on mentioning that several times, how they made love in Moldova when she went back, and that he put the ring back on her finger. I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand. I do not understand, why you would say anything glowingly or positive about any type of encounter that you would have with this man, with this Neanderthal. I don't get it. So she talks about how romantic it was and how they made love. And like I said, she mentioned this several times, that they had made love in Moldova, because we understand that they were struggling with intimacy. And so whenever she gets it, she just wants to, announce it from the mountaintop that Igor made love to her. I guess it kind of reassures her that he's attracted to me, that he wants to be with me sexually. I guess this is the reason why she keeps mentioning it over and over again. So Nikki then flashes her ring. And I'm like, girl, that is not a flex. Not with this man. That is not a flex. That is not a flex for you to be flashing that damn engagement ring in front of us, knowing how horribly this man treats you and how utterly disrespectful he is of you. So Nikki says that they're engaged again. Once again, she mentions that they made love. And Sean says, well, why did you even go back to Moldova? Because they had broken up, right? He had broken up with her over text, but then she runs back to Moldova. I don't even know why the car wasn't mentioned, because remember, they broke up because he had called her, told her that his car had broken down. I'm thinking he wanted money from her to fix the car or buy a new car. Who knows? They got into an argument because she had accused him of using her for money. None of that was talked about at the tell-all, but this is what she said. The very last episode of the season was that he had called her, told her that his car had broken down. He wanted money from her. She accused him of just using her. They got into this horrible argument, and then she rushes back to Moldova. I guess he wasn't answering her calls or, responding to her text messages. So she decided to go back and confront him face to face. And I know she came there with money. I know she did, because that's the only way you're going to get him to react. That's the only way that you're going to get him to respond to you. She must have come there with some damn money. And, he performed his services, because he pimps himself out to Nikki. He performed his services when she fixed his car and gave him some pocket change, and everything was hunky-dory again. And he put the ring back on her finger. So Nikki says, so the question was, why did you even go back to Moldova? Her answer is, because I love him. They talk about what led to the breakup. So they said that this is what led to their breakup, is that there was an ex-girlfriend of Igor that had contacted Nikki. I'm assuming what led to their breakup after the previous breakup with the car. That's what I'm thinking. So an ex-girlfriend had contacted Nikki and, was like, hey, Nikki, or hey, girl, how you doing? She said something sort of like, it was like a somewhat innocent encounter. And so Nikki had asked the ex-girlfriend, do you hang out with Igor? And the girl said that she did. They're always hanging out at the park. So Igor says, it's not like that. It's not like we are meeting up at the park. And I think he says something about there's not that many parks in Moldova, or there's very few really good parks or something. So whatever park he goes to, he's always running into an ex because there's not that many parks over there. So he makes it seem like he just bumps into these exes out of the blue. It's not intentional. It's not like they're calling each other up to purposely meet at the park. Nikki did not believe it. When Nikki confronted him about it, he lied and said that he hadn't met up with this ex at all. But then later on, he says that, yes, I met up with her, but it was just by coincidence. So Nikki said that she believes Igor cheated after she had applied for the K-1 visa. Okay. He had no response to that. Sophie asked Igor if he's in love with Nikki. So after like a long pause, he says, always. Like I said, he's going to say the things that's going to constantly keep Nikki around because of the fact that Nikki gives him money. Clayton says he's not, this is what Clayton said. Clayton says he's not attracted to trans women and has never been attracted to trans women and this whole entire time. And I think Clayton kind of summed it up really well. I think that's just the bottom line. He's not attracted to Nikki because of the fact that he's not, attracted to trans women, and he doesn't want to completely break it off with her, obviously, because he still wants her to support him. And, this relationship is just horrible. It's just horrible, and it's sad, and it's just really pathetic. So Sean asks Igor, are you fully at ease with Nikki being trans? He says, yes, of course I am. Like I said, he's always going to give the answers. It's going to somehow still keep her around. Jasmine says, do you want the benefit? So this is what Jasmine said, but nobody heard her. Jasmine says, do you just want the benefits from the relationship? I'm thinking she's referring to money, financial benefits. Nobody heard her. Igor then says that if she acted more like a lady, everything would be all right. So stop challenging me, stop confronting me, stop forcing me to take accountability, stop all of that, and then everything's going to be just fine between us. So basically, just give me your money and shut up. Nikki says, are we in a relationship, yes or no? And then Igor says, no, but we have to think about many stuffs. Like I said, he keeps his answers extremely ambiguous. Sophie asked if being trans bothered him. If being trans bothered him, why did he constantly go back to her? And then Igor says, yes, because I love her. So why do you treat her like this? Why would you tell a trans woman that she's acting like a man? And even though you might mean it one way, why don't you just say just tell her, you're acting like a very aggressive woman, or I'm not used to women who are this outspoken. There's other ways that you can let her know if her aggressiveness is bothering you. There's other ways to let her know without telling her, oh, you're acting like a man, and completely disrespecting her. So then he says that he loves her, and that, that's the reason why he keeps going back to her, because he loves her, even though he right and out disrespected her. Sam and Citra. So the baby was not planned. Once again, I don't understand how a baby's not planned. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get it. There are so many different methods of contraceptives out there. And I understand that nothing is as effective as abstinence. And of course, you're not going to expect a married couple to be abstinent. I understand all of that. But there are people who have gone, millions and billions of people who have gone years and years and years on some type of contraceptive, using some type of birth control, and they've never gotten pregnant. But I just don't understand. And if you had a slip up, like you had a drunken night and, you forgot to use whatever birth control that y'all normally use, then anyways, Sam is back in the diversion program. As long as he keeps his nose clean and does what he's supposed to do, he doesn't have to worry about going back to jail. He's going to have to prove himself for a whole entire year in order to avoid the threat of going to jail. Sam says that being Muslim helped him stay sober, and it also saved his life. That's what Sam says. They talk about Sam cheating on Citra. So way back in the day, before they even physically met, but were in a relationship, Sam used to drive for Uber, Lyft, or whatever, some type of rideshare company, and he had a passenger One thing led to another, and something happened between them. Now, at the time, he did confess this to Citra, but their version of what he confessed greatly differs. So they showed us the clip of, I guess, Sam giving his interview for the producers to be on the show. And he talks about how he had this slip up before he actually met Citra, but they were in a relationship. You know, he talks about the whole thing with the Uber passenger. And he says that he had confessed it to Citra at the time that it happened, but their versions of what he confessed is different. Citra says that Sam told her that something was about to happen between the two of them, but then he noticed something gross about the girl, or he noticed something strange about the girl, and they never did anything. Whatever he noticed scared him off, and nothing happened. Now, he tells on stage now at the tell-all, he confesses that he did have sex with this girl, that they did go all the way. And so everybody's asking Citra, well, how do you feel now that he's telling you that he did have sex with her? And she's like, well, I don't remember him telling me that. And then Sam keeps on saying, I did tell you that we went all the way. Now, Jasmine and Clayton called total BS on Sam because they were like, if you would have told her that you had sex with her, she would not have this memory, this very specific memory of you saying how you saw something gross or unattractive or weird about the girl and you changed your mind. That's a very specific thing. So that must have been exactly what you told her. You never told her that you actually had sex with this girl. You told her this other story, something grossed you out, and you ran for the hills. So, Sam, you're lying. You're lying. You never confessed to her that you had sex with this other girl. But it doesn't even really matter because Citra's like, hey, you know, I'm not really bothered by it because of the fact that, you know, we talked about it and we grew to trust each other and everything is fine now. So, yeah, everything is fine now. They have trusted in one another. They're married now. He converted to her religion and they're having a baby. So moving on. So during the break, Jasmine and Gino have a conversation. Once again, Gino does not want to apologize to Jasmine for being at his own bachelor party, but says that if he would have known that it was going to piss her off like this, he wouldn't have done it. Gino, you knew that. You knew that. You knew that was going to piss her off, but you didn't care because I think his cousins were making him feel some kind of way about being so scared of Jasmine. I think his cousins were like, you know, and I said this before, I was like, his cousins were probably like, you know, don't be such a wimp and you know, don't let that woman control you and all kinds of stuff. I think he knew that it was going to piss her off. He knew. He 100% knew that this was the reaction he was going to get, but he still went through with it. So then we move on to Clayton and Anali. We move on to Clayton and Anali. So they moved to where did they move? Atlanta? I forgot where they moved, but they moved to a whole nother state and the mom moved with them, but she does not live with them. I said that I had to see it to believe it when the mom said that at the end of the season that she was going to find her own place and leave them alone. I was like, I got to see it to believe it. Well, now I believe it because that's what they're saying. Mom has her own. If mom has her own place in a whole new state, why didn't mom have her own place in the previous state? What has changed? Mom has a job now. And if she has a job now, why didn't she have a job before? What is going on? Like, what really has changed between one state to the next that is enabling her now to be independent, but she couldn't be independent before? So then they ask him, has the sex improved between the two of you because of the fact that mom is no longer there in the closet hearing everything? They said, yes, it has improved. They're having a whole lot more sex now. Great. Wonderful. So then they talk about Anali hiding Clayton from her father. So Sean tells them that they did reach out to her father. They asked her father if he wanted to join the tell-all. The father said respectfully, no, he did not want to be a part of the tell-all. And the father says that he wants Anali to come back home to Peru and that there is nothing for her in America. Not even a whole husband. He's like, ain't nothing there for her and she needs to come back home. So Annalie starts to cry when she hears this. She says she really misses her father. She says that her father has a really good sense of humor and that she really misses that about him. Just misses her father in general. And so she's crying and it's really sad. And a couple of people on stage are like, we just don't understand like what the big deal is, why she had to hide her husband, her boyfriend, or whatever he was at the time. And Jasmine, once again, she's like, she's like the the Latin American whisperer. She makes people understand Latin American culture because she's the one that has set it straight for Ashley's mom and sister to understand why Manuel could not tell his family about Ashley, why he didn't want to tell his children, and why he's sending money over there. Jasmine was the one that clarified it for them and made them understand it better. So when it comes to Anali and her father, and the question of, well, why would she want to hide her whole husband from her father? Jasmine, to the rescue again, makes it clear for everybody and says, y'all need to understand, when it comes to Latin American parents, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you don't do what they want you to do, it can get really, really scary. They can get really scary. So it's understandable why he would have such a hold on Annalie, even though she's a grown woman, and such a hold on her to the point where she has to hide her whole entire relationship with this man from her dad because it wasn't going to be pretty. And it didn't end pretty at all. Basically, it seems like they are estranged. I'm not going to go as far as to say that he disowned her, but they're definitely estranged now, and it affects Annalie greatly. And it's a whole different culture, so I can't really make any judgment on that because it's not, my culture. But it's still sad nonetheless. So, Brandy, yeah, oh, Lord. So Brandy comes out, which is Clayton's sister, Evelina. Evelina comes out, and when she walked on stage, when she first entered the stage, Annalie does this. She does the little heart thing to her sister-in-law. And I'm like, girl, this woman damn near ruined your relationship with that whole stripper gate thing. How are you going to, do this for her? Like, what are you doing, Annalie? So then I thought, well, maybe they patched things up and they made up and things are better now between her and her sister-in-law. Nope, not at all. So Evelina sits down and not only did Brandy have reservations in the past about Clayton and Annalie's relationship, Brandy still has reservations now about their relationship. At first she says that she didn't approve of the relationship because she thought he was being catfished. What the hell do you mean by that? I'm not saying that Annalie's not attractive. She's a really cute girl. But why would anybody use Annalie's picture to catfish? To catfish Clayton? I mean, usually when someone is catfishing, they use like these, they take these model pictures of models from Google to catfish people. Annalie just looks like your average girl. I don't understand how you can catfish someone with just an average picture of someone. But for whatever reason, that's what the sister says. She says, I thought he was being catfished. Okay, so now that you see he's not catfished, now what's your problem? What's your issue with them? Let me see. I lost my. Okay, so then she felt like Annalie probably had. So then her issue was when she realized that Annalie was not a catfish. Then her issue was that she thought Annalie had a boyfriend in Peru. Girl, why are you planting these seeds of doubt in your brother's mind? What's wrong with you? So she says, well, I thought she had a whole boyfriend in Peru. And Annalie was like, excuse me. And I loved how Annalie, always set the record straight with Evelina. She was like, excuse me. First of all, I never wanted to come to the United States. I wanted him to come live with me in Peru. Okay, that was what I wanted. I didn't want to leave Peru. I didn't want to leave my family, my country to come here. I wanted him to come over there with me, which to me made a lot of sense because, he already speaks the language. But because of his job situation, he couldn't. So she ended up coming here. So she set her straight there. And so Brandy says that, well, okay, when that was, debunked. So the catfish theory was debunked. The theory of her having a whole boyfriend in Peru was debunked. So now she goes on to theory number 3, which is, well, there's no affection between them. I don't see them being affectionate with one another. So I don't really believe in their relationship. And they're like, that's just not our style to do PDA. That's not our thing. But just to shut her up, they kissed on stage, which they shouldn't have because it was very cringy and very forced, but whatever. So then they talk about the damn stripper. At her bachelorette party. Annalie insists that when she talked about having a stripper, she was just joking because she knew that Clayton would not like it, that she was just joking. She didn't really mean for Brandy to hire a stripper. So Evelina did hire the stripper anyway. And I think she did it on purpose, knowing that it was going to piss off her brother. So I think she did it on purpose. I think the whole thing was a setup to try to get Annalie in trouble. The sister looks absolutely miserable. Okay, she looks absolutely miserable about seeing her brother with this woman. Like, she just can't stand it. Her misery is like manifesting on her face, because her face stays in a constant state of just miserableness. Even when she's happy, it doesn't even travel like to her face. Like, when she's smiling, her smile doesn't even light up her face or anything. She just looks absolutely, I don't know if she's jealous of her brother. And let's not forget that she, at the bachelorette party, after they came back home, she wanted to try to get Annalie drunk, because, and she said this on camera, because she was hoping that Annalie would confess some things about herself that she can go back and report to Clayton. Brandy said that she is bothered by every single aspect of their relationship. Like, what does this have to do with you, girl? So so then she says, well, I'm just, he's my brother and I'm just really protective of him. So she's hiding her hate under this guise of protectiveness. Y'all, I'm going to come out and say it. The girl kind of comes off as racist to me. She kind of comes off as racist. I think her issue is the fact that her brother fell in love with a South American girl. I think that's what her issue is. I think she probably envisioned her brother with a white girl, and that wasn't in the cards. I think she has an issue with the fact that Annalie is a foreigner and that she's Latin American. I think that's what I'm just kind of. I think she's racist. I mean, I could be wrong, y'all, and if I'm wrong, God forgive me. But that's what I think. Moving on to Devon and Nick. So Nick already has his green card. It took about 6 months for him to get it, and now he works in Atlanta. Devon is still in Arkansas. Is that where her state is? Her home state? I think she's still in Arkansas. She hasn't moved to Atlanta yet because he still needs to get set up. Right now, he's living out of a hotel. So it's not the right time for her to move to Atlanta to go be with him. And he says, he's enjoying his time away from Devon. And so Sean was like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of strange. And Devon explained it and said, well, we're both introverts and we like, our time alone. And Sean was like, I understand being an introvert, but I just didn't know that introverts also wanted to be away from their spouse. Like, what? Anywho, so he said, okay, they talk about the whole piggy thing, right? So I didn't think, obviously Nick was not expecting the backlash that he got by calling her piggy. They showed the clip of Nick calling her, when they were at the barbecue or at the cookout with her family. And I think this is when the rest of her family got to meet Nick, and they brought up that whole piggy thing. And the question was, what do South Koreans, how do y'all view Americans? And he said, lazy, fat, eating greasy food. And then, Devon looked at him and said, well, I'm not lazy. This is still at the cookout. She said, oh, I'm not lazy. He's like, yes, you are. You're lazy because you like to eat fast food all the time. You don't want to cook. You're lazy. And then he squeezed her belly rolls and said, called her piggy or whatever. So they showed all of that, and it was very cringy. It was really embarrassing to see that. And he kept on his explanation is that, in his culture, piggy is a term of endearment. It means cute. It doesn't necessarily mean fat. Cool. I mean, Nick, we get it. We understand that in South Korea, y'all don't have an issue with the word piggy. It's your culture. It's whatever. We understand that. Okay. We understand that we're not idiots. We get it. That in over there, piggy means something different. It's not as harsh. It's not as derogatory as it is here in America. We get it. Check. We get it. The issue is now that you're in a different culture, though. And in this culture, that word is not accepted for you to use to your wife, who at the time, she was not fat. Devon was never, ever fat, but she was a little heavier than she is now. So it was just a whole thing, y'all. Y'all know exactly where this went. So the fact that, her family thought that it was derogatory and insulting, Devon said that I wish he would have only used it in private. That right there, okay, I have a couple of things to say about that. Number one, why didn't you tell him? Don't call me that in front of my family. Don't call me that in public, because in my country, they're not going to get it. I understand where it's coming from, but they're not going to understand. And if you don't want a big old thing with my family and a big old thing with the internet, just don't use that word in public. I don't know why she didn't say that to him. Maybe it didn't come across her mind. Number two, it seemed like when she says, I wish you would only use it in private, it seems like to me, she's implying that she has no issue with it. But she understands that the public and her family would have an issue with it. So if she didn't have an issue with it, I don't know why her family felt the need to sit down, because it was her dad that sat with him and said, hey, I don't like you calling my daughter Piggy. I want you to stop it. So I don't know why her dad felt the need to do that. I don't know why the public came after him the way they did if she herself didn't care. He was directing it at her and she didn't care. But then the question came up to, I think because her parents were there on stage as well. Then the question came up to the parents. Do y'all think that she lost weight because of him calling her Piggy? And her parents kind of implied that it might have had something to do with that. But also her weight fluctuates. Her weight fluctuates, and that, she has been this size before, this small before. So it wasn't like this was the first time ever that she's been small, and it was all because of the fact that he called her Piggy. She has been this size before. And she talked about how when she lived in Australia, she was thinner, came to America, ate all the fatty, greasy foods. She gained a lot of weight, and now she lost it again. So everybody pressured Nick to, and Nick said, he says, it's just a joke. It's not a big deal. Y'all need to relax. I'm just trying to be funny. It's no big deal. But then they did pressure him to apologize to her. And he gave, some half-hearted apology. Her parents did not seem happy at all. Not at all. And I don't know if he doesn't, he must know nothing about American culture. And if he doesn't, I think that, she should have told him. I don't know why he couldn't figure it out. That, hey, in America, this is not going to roll over so well, so I'm not going to use it. It doesn't take much to figure that out on your own. I don't know what's going on between these two people, but the bottom line is it didn't seem like it bothered Devon as much as it bothered everybody else. And if it didn't bother Devon, I don't know why everybody had to, go so hard on him if it didn't bother her. We're back with Nikki and Igor. So Nikki's mom shows up. Her plane must have been late because I have no idea why we're rounding back to Nikki and Igor. So the mom joins the stage, and the mom immediately gets down to the nitty gritty. And she asks Igor, were you ever in love with her? And they talk about how the day before Igor had told Nikki that he wasn't trans attractive or trans attracted. Igor yells, I'm straight. I'm a straight man. I'm straight. And then Nikki, they ask Nikki about so he never answered the mom's question. That's number one. Were you ever in love with her? He never answered that question. I don't know what made him yell out that he's straight. And then, because Nikki had brought up how he had said the day before he wasn't trans attracted. And he's, justifying that by saying, I'm a straight man. So they asked Nikki, what about the K1 process? Where are you with that? Are you still going to go through with it? And she's like, yes, it's still in process. Jasmine tells him that he just is with her for the benefits. And Sean says, what will it take for you, Nikki, to pull the K1 visa? Nikki says, I don't know. If he doesn't go to the interview, then it's over. So they ask Igor, are you going to go to the interview? And Igor was like, no, I don't think so. He goes, I want to go to the U.S., but not this way. And then that was the end of the show. It's a wrap. Now, after the show, we see Nikki texting her lawyer, asking her lawyer to pull the K1 visa, but she didn't hit send. I didn't see her hit send. I don't think it's over between these two. This is a very toxic, push and pull type of relationship between them. When Nikki says you will never find anybody to do all the things that I did for you, exactly. I don't think you will. I don't think it's gonna be easy for him to find another sugar mama. I don't know what else to say, but it's a really sad situation. I wish Nikki would get a backbone, get some self-esteem, some self-confidence. Drop this zero, girl. Pull the K1 visa, whether he wants to come to America or not, whether he's going to go to the interview, just pull the K1. This man has horribly embarrassed you. Pull that K1 visa. Let it go. But I don't think it's over between them. Anyway, that's my review. Thank you so much for everybody who has joined me on every single one of my 90-day fiance reviews for season 10. I appreciate you. I appreciate the love, the support, the likes, the dislikes, the comments, the views, all of it. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. And on that note, I will definitely talk to you later. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.